Hey guys, this is E10 Sun from SunBros. Today I'm really excited to be bringing you guys this brand new video. But before we get started with that, I want to make sure I remind you guys on how to get entered in for a chance to win our guaranteed skin giveaways that we do every Sunday night during our 1-hour question and answer live stream. All you gotta do is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and comment below with your in-game name and which skin you'd like to receive on either the NA or EU servers under 700 vouchers. And remember, the more videos that you do this with that are uploaded each week, the higher chance you have to win. Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started with this Max how to build video. Obviously Max just came out on Friday, and so we are going to build him. And starting as always, we're going to be starting on the hero page, kind of go through Max's abilities, figure out who he is, what Max brings to the table, what makes him tick, and how to best build him. Alright, Max's passive, Static Shock. Every time Max damages an enemy, the enemy gets shocked, causing them to suffer true damage per second and have their HP regen reduced. And that lasts a whole 3 seconds. Max's first ability, Bionic Blender. Max spins his robot arms around, dealing damage to enemies. Every time he hits an enemy, he increases his movement speed by 10%, up to a max of 50 for 4 seconds. Max's second ability is Smooth Moves. Max rushes towards his target and flips over them, landing on their opposite side. Once on the other side, Max activates a magnetic force field that reduces Max's damage taken by 15% for 3 seconds. That goes all the way up to 20% at level 6, and the ability can be used again within 4 seconds, so you can actually cast it twice. Pretty slick. And then his ultimate, of course, is Liftoff. Max fires trackers that attach to all enemy heroes for a short time. The trackers allow allies to see the enemy heroes' locations and interrupt any recall actions. While the trackers are active, Max can then select an enemy to track and ram into them by holding down the ability button. Ramming into the enemy deals physical damage, knocks them back, and also if Max takes too long to select an enemy, then he'll have to fire the trackers again. When Max lands, he activates a magnetic force field that reduces his damage taken and increases his resistance by 30%. And shocks all nearby enemies. Pressing the ability again while Max is tracking an enemy will cancel the attack, making Max land immediately and activate his force field. So he's got a pretty long ultimate, and it takes a little time to read. So that's kind of Max's basic kit and what makes him who he is, and kind of gives us an idea of what things we're going to want to focus on to make Max the best that he can be. All right, so let's go to the equipment page, and we are going to now build Max to the best of our abilities, and we're going to start off now. Because of his passive that does true damage to each ability done, so whether it's auto attacks or abilities, whatever does damage, Max is going to do true damage for 3 seconds after the fact. And that is kind of one of the things we're going to highlight with him. So we're actually going to, I like to jungle with him. I'm actually going to start with Leviathan, and that is something you can do even in lane, because what we're going to do is we're going to knock out the infamous Leviathan Mantle Raw combo. I've used this on Max a lot now in games, and the way that it stacks with his passive, the true damage, essentially you're doing nearly 1,000 damage a second just by being nearby and doing any sort of attack, on top of everything else, you know, all his auto attacks and whatnot, and his damage reduction and all that kind of stuff. So we're really going to focus hard on the ability to do 1,000 damage just by being there and being involved. So Leviathan obviously gives us the 800 XP to start off, and the passive is what we were talking about, which is Flame Magic. Deals 90 damage plus 5 per level of magic damage, which is awesome because we're going to be dealing magic damage with Leviathan and Mantle Raw. We're going to be dealing true damage with his passive, and we're going to be dealing physical damage with his auto attacks. We're actually going to be doing all 3 at one time, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, at the very bottom, we get the passive Wild. Increases HP, you know, stacks it every time he kills jungle monsters. It goes all the way up to 1150. So we're gonna get 1950 total health from Leviathan. So it's gonna make Max tanky, but it's also gonna give him that amazing burn that we really like to see. Then we're gonna be going Mantle Raw on the 3 spot here, which is gonna give us attack damage, which will make our true damage higher on our passive. It's going to give us more armor, and of course, it's gonna give us more burn damage. And then we're going to go Boots, of course, which would be Gilded Greaves. The reason we're going Gilded Greaves is pretty simple, because we get our kicks, we get our stuff off by doing damage, by being nearby, and if we get stunned, slowed, all that stuff, it hurts our ability to stay nearby enemies continuing on with that burn and the true damage that we're gathering on them every single second just by being involved and being there. Max is very much somebody who's got to get up in your face and will continue to do so. His second ability helps you with that. It's a dash that flips over, stuns them for a second, and keeps you near them. And you can do it twice. So like, getting away from Max is extremely difficult, which makes this build even more beneficial on him. So we get 35% resistance from the boots, as well as obviously the magic defense. Now you stack the 35% resistance with the ultimate. The ultimate gives you 30% resistance. That's going to give him 65% resistance, which means if you get stunned or knocked back or up or slowed or any kind of, you know, movement impairing thing like frozen and, you know, all that kind of stuff, then with Max it's going to last 65% less. So if it's a 1 second stun, it's only going to last 0.35 seconds while his ult is going off. And the magnetic field that he creates after his ult lasts a solid amount of time. I haven't timed it yet, but I'd say it's at least 6-7 seconds, maybe even closer to 8 or 9. I'm not quite sure, but it seems like it lasts a very, very, very long time. So for a solid amount of time after you ult in, you're going to be essentially, you're not unstunnable, but man, the stuns just don't last very long. It's amazing. So you'll have a much better chance of sticking close to people and doing what you got to do. All right, the next item on our list that we're going to be taking is the defensive item. We're going to go back to Frost Cape. Frost Cape makes a lot of sense on him because he'll be doing his abilities a lot. His main ability is going to be his first ability, where he spins with his robot arms and deals damage. Well, the auto attack after that will slow them because of Frost Cape's passive, which is Frost Power. After using an ability, the next normal attack reduces movement speed by 30% and deals damage based on physical damage, and then 20 additional damage for each level gained. So what we're doing is we're stacking a kind of we'll call it passive damage on Max that is really going to be effective. So let's say you ult into a team fight and then you auto attack, bam, immediately auto attack. So what you got going on right then and there, Frostcape does 150 plus 20 additional damage for each level gain. So let's say we're at level 10, that's 200, or let's say we're level 15. I can tell you for a fact the Leviathan the Leviathan Mantle of Rod combo does over 600 damage at level 15. Now this is doing 150 plus 20, so you're talking about 300 additional damage, so 450. So you have 450 damage, bam, AoE, 450 damage. Everyone around you is burning for 600 magic damage. And this is physical damage, I believe. Yeah, so it's physical damage from Frost Cape. So your auto attacks, boom, physical damage from Frost Cape, physical damage from your auto attack. Then you have 600 plus magic damage burned from Leviathan and Mantle of Ra. And then your true damage is going off for a couple hundred ticks per second. So literally, right from the get-go, you ult in, your ult does damage, your auto attack does damage, your burn damage from Mantle of Ra and Mantle of Ra and Leviathan, and then your true damage passive is going off. So you're literally, just from the first second of being involved in a fight, you're doing just a ridiculous amount of damage just from being there. And then the trick isn't, so a lot of people are wanting to build max damage, and I've tried that, and he's just too squishy for what his best attribute is, which is really the true damage passive that continues to go off. And his other abilities are more just tanky. They're tanky. I mean, you have one that's a crazy mobility ability with his ultimate, which is a good engage. He's just much better as a tank, off-tank support or top laner than or jungler for that matter, than he is really a damage dealer. And so for that reason, I'm insinuating I'm emphasizing on the strengths he does have, which in this case I'm describing it for you. The crazy thing about this is we go with the old bam, we auto attack, boom, Frost Cape goes off, our burns start, true damage is going off, and then the trick is just to stay alive and let the true damage to keep going. So let's say the Frost Cape only has a 3-second cooldown. You know, you hit your first ability, you spin around, bam, you're whacking them. Okay, cool. Frost Cape goes off again on the next auto attack. You're still doing burn, you're still doing true damage, and then you hop over them to stun them and keep them near you. Boom. Frost Cape goes off again. True damage is going off. I mean, you literally just keep the cycle going of just melting. You're melting people, and it's not because Max doesn't have any crazy. I mean, his ult has a good amount of damage, but it has a really long cooldown. Even with cooldown reduction, it's still pretty lengthy. And then his second ability has no damage, it's just damage reduction, a small stun, and a repositioning or a dash, if you will. And then his first ability has some pretty good damage. But it's not gonna freaking win you a fight. Max's natural ability damage is really insignificant, so you can do damage via all these passive things. His passive, the passive on Frostcape, the passive on Mantle Raw, the passive on Leviathan. You could do a pretty obscene amount of damage with those things while keeping yourself alive. Now, the point I made still is real. Max isn't really that tanky. Now, if he ults in, he's got the static shield around him, the static field or the magnetic field, whatever. Then he flips over somebody. He will have 50% damage reduction at that point in time, which is a pretty good amount. Now we got him some health from, let's see, we got health. We have 1750 from Leviathan. No, 1850 from Leviathan, right? Yeah, it's 1050 that you get extra. So it's 1850 from Leviathan, plus we get none from Mantle of Ra, but we get 800 from here. So now we're at 2650. And then our next item is going to give us, so right now what we have is we have 300 armor, we have 630 armor, and then we have 102 magic defense. So we want to make sure we build more magic defense, because what we're facing a lot right now, in NA especially, is a lot of Tulans, L'Oreals, Zills. We've got a lot of mage assassins out there. We want to make sure that we can tank against them pretty well too. So we're going to go some magic damage. We're going to go Medallion of Troy. Not only does that give us 360 magic defense and 1000 health, it also gives us a little bit of cooldown reduction, which puts us at 20% because we have 10 from Frostcape, 10 from Medallion of Troy. And we're also going to be getting 1000 HP. So now we have, what are we at? We said we are 2650. Now we're at 3650 on our health. We have 470 magic defense. We have a bunch of armor, and then we have the passive, which every 18 seconds is going to give us a shield. So let's say level 10, like we're talking about. Let's say we engage with our ultimate. We get the shield. It's going to be 300 plus 50 per level. That's 500. So it's 800 damage shield plus 500 damage reduction when we engage in that fight. We're going to be melting people with our burn damage from Leviathan and Mantle Ra. Our passive's going off. Frostcape's going off here. Frostcape's going off there. Frostcape's going off everywhere. And then we have Medallion of Troy, which is giving us a shield. The ultimate's giving us a damage reduction boost of 30%. Our second ability is giving us a damage reduction boost of 20%. Now we're at 50% damage reduction with a shield and just melting everything near us. And they can't get away because Frostcape slowed them. And it's sick. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be even more tanky to be able to survive anything. We're going to go with Crimson Banner, 200 more armor, which is giving us a whopping, let's see, we had 630 on the armor. Now we have 830 on the armor, 1500 more health, which gives us, what, 5150 on the health. And of course, the passive, 20% HP over 5 seconds when you earn a kill or an assist. So now we're talking about 50% damage reduction, shield, melting here, melting there, melting everywhere, and then somebody dies. Boom, 20% more health. And we just survive more. The second ability, we hit it again, 20% more damage reduction. We're getting, now, boom, somebody else dies. Health comes back. I mean, this build is sick, guys. This build is legit. It is going to give you some really solid survivability. You guys are going to be able to survive. You know, essentially, Max isn't somebody who really wants to fight too frequently when he doesn't have his ult up. But when you ult into somebody correctly, bam, and you do the things we're talking about, you survive and you melt true damage, physical damage, magic damage, and you just go into town. It's something to behold, guys. It's a really solid build, and it's a really solid way to play Max. Now, I know that some of you guys don't like the Leviathan Mantle Rock combo. You don't like the idea of taking Punish in lane. And you are wrong for not liking it, because it is absolutely insane. It's a ridiculously good build. But I will give you guys an alternative because I like to be nice. So the alternative build is this one right here. Mantle Raw start. We're still going to do that burn damage. This is a little bit more of a damage build than it is a tanky build, but it gives you a little bit of both. Gilded Greaves, we're still going to go with Gilded Greaves for the resistance. Now we're going to go Spirit Longinus, which is going to work out nicely. Now, one thing I did find out via testing is that Spirit Longinus' passive Shatter, which decreases target armor by 50 on hit for 5 seconds. That essentially works on anything that does damage. So when we engage with Max, his true damage will make this go off. So you'll get the 5 stacks of Spirit Longinus off like this, really fast, like literally auto attack, boom, boom, auto attack, and you're done. And like it goes off really fast. And then obviously you have armor, cooldown reduction, and attack speed. So we're actually gonna get 35% cooldown reduction with this build, which is nice. So you're gonna get better cooldown reduction. You're gonna have a little bit more damage. This is much more of a damage off tank build than it is a solid off tank or solid main tank build. Then we're gonna do Frostcape, of course, same exact reasons as before. we're gonna go with Medallion of Troy and Crimson Banner, kind of same exact tankiness idea. You're going to be doing a little bit more damage with your auto attacks out and your robot arm spins, which is the first ability. You're going to be doing a little bit more damage with that also. So this is your lane alternative. And then of course we're going to go and head over and give you guys some tips on Arcana. Alright, so for red Arcana, what we're going to be doing, Max, is we're going to be looking at... Whoops. Because we're building so tanky, we're going to go ahead and build Onslaught for the attack damage and armor pierce. This is going to give our auto attacks some more damage. It's going to give our first ability some more damage. We're already tanky enough. There's not really a solid need to build this. This is going to make us do more damage early game when we should be getting pretty tanky. And armor pierce is phenomenal on everyone. It just helps armor. It's going to make your jungle clears faster. Or if you're playing a lane, it's just going to have to clear faster. So get 10 onslaughts. Then we're going to go to purples. And this one's a little bit trickier. Normally I would say assassinate. But what we're actually going to do is go assassinate. There's not really anything else here super worth taking in my mind. I mean, you can make an argument for nothing. Nothing is as good as this is. I mean, maybe max HP, 750 more health. Colossus, if you have Colossus and you don't have Assassinate, that might be an alternative. But Assassinate, more attack damage, more movement speed. The true damage from his passive does build on attack damage. So if you can maintain your tankiness with the build, and you can add attack damage via other means, for example, our Arcana, then that will be a good alternative to get that up. And then green, there's only one real option I really like on green. We're already tanky enough, and I'm going to go ahead and go with Skewer, more attack damage, more armor pierce, making his early game even stronger, and continuing to build a little bit more damage on that true damage. But this is it, guys. This is the way that we are going to go ahead and build Max. Here's the main build that we're talking about: Leviathan, Gilded Greaves, Mantle of Ra, Frost Cape, Medallion of Troy, and then Crimson Banner. And the second, the off build for in lane. If you really, I mean, again, you can use build. The main build in lane also. You gotta take Punish. Punish is a great talent. It's multi-use. You can use it to secure Seagull. You can use it to help secure objectives. You could also use it to slow and do damage to all the enemies around you if you're trying to escape or you're trying to keep them from escaping. I mean, it's a very well used item. It does a good amount of damage, and it does slow, so it's a solid talent to have anyways. But if you don't want to use it, this is what you're gonna do: Crimson Banner, Gilded Greaves, Spirit Longinus, Frost Cape, Medallion of Troy, Crimson Banner, and then that is it. And we showed you other Arcana, guys. That is it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. These builds are going to help your guys' Max gameplay a ton. I hope you guys are ready to dominate on Max. Just make sure you, you say drink responsibly. I'm going to tell you, use Max's ult responsibly, because if you don't, you're going to find yourself dead under a tower or in the enemy's base real quick. But thanks, guys, for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, until next time.